Go. So that should make it much more legible than the first video. So whenever I say that company pay is crap, it was, I made the comment that company pay was crap last time I was in the industry, and it's still crap. Even though rates have increased, it's still not very good. Um, and this is why I say that, because I, I don't know. This is what I think of whenever I think of the rates. I break it. So what I'm doing here is I'm breaking the trucking industry is a performance pay industry. The pay in general is performance based. If you're getting paid by the mile, that's performance pay. And what I'm doing here is converting that pay into something that is comparable to the rest of the industries. Almost everything else pays either salary or hourly. A lot of jobs pay hourly. So I've converted this to hourly and to annual salary and weekly salary to make it easily comparable to other jobs. And I didn't do the full. I tried to simplify this as much as possible. So I didn't break down USA Truck's entire pay scale. I'm just using the best case scenario. USA Truck told me that it's 34 cents a mile is their pay, and they pay up to 6 cents performance pay if you go over 2,800 miles in that week. So you have to do 2,801 mile or more to get 40 cents. Otherwise, it can be as low as 34 cents. I think their performance their performance pay on top of the performance pay, that would be a whole other video entirely on how bad of an idea it is to put 15% of your pay in additional performance. I mean, the pay is already performance based. You don't need to add in another performance incentive. It's not an incentive at all. It's just, it is punishing people who have bad weeks. You're already going to get reduced pay because you have a bad week, but then on top of that, they're going to take away approximately 15% of your rate. So it's just going to make bad weeks worse. It's going to drive more people to quit. It is a terrible idea. Absolutely horrible. Anyway, this is just a breakdown in very simple terms using a lot of best case scenarios. And I use 40 cents because of USA Truck, and that's where I'm planning on going. So if I run the 2,800 miles and get there 40 cent, that'll be a gross paycheck as a company driver of $1120, $58,000 a year, $16 an hour. And if I was getting paid overtime on hours over 40, then it would be $13 and approximately 18 cents per hour. And then 30 hours of that would be at time and a half. So my base wage, if I was getting time and a half on everything over 40, would be $13.18 per hour. And this is the reason I say the pay is crap. USA Truck is not one of the best paying companies. Their pay is not great. So it is. We'll change the number and look at a better paying company here in a second. But this just gives you an idea. And if you have like a not so good week to where you only get 2,000 miles that week, you're not going to get 40 cents a mile at USA Truck, but we're going to pretend that you do still get 40 cents a mile if you run 2,000 miles. I mean, you're talking $9.40 an hour. Is it worth it? Like, if you do not take into consideration all the sacrifices you're making to live off of the truck and be away from home, then, these wages aren't that bad. But whenever you take into consideration the number of hours per week that you're working to make this money and the sacrifices you're making of being away from home, to deal with just simply going to the bathroom as a truck driver is a chore. It's, you may have to walk 300 yards. You may have to get dressed. Well, I hope you get dressed. What I meant by that is, you may be laying in bed and you have to get up and get ready and then walk like 300 yards. And a lot of these truck stops are really sketchy. I would feel really bad for Like it's scary for me as I'm probably a fairly intimidating guy myself, and I can't imagine other people that are not as intimidating as me walking through some of these sketchy areas at 2 a.m. to go use the bathroom or whatever. It's it's a there are so many factors involved, and these wages don't make up for that. So let's say that you're driving for like one of the top pay. You're a brand new driver and you go for somebody like Maverick doing flatbed, and you're still doing 2,800 miles a week. This, in my opinion, is whenever you get to the absolute minimum of what I would consider to be acceptable. $80,000 a year for all the sacrifices that you're making is like, that's when it starts becoming a little tolerable for me. Ideally, I would still not be too terribly happy with this. I I don't like it. It's whenever we start getting into the $100,000 a year or more trucking jobs is whenever it starts getting to a point where like it's like, okay, this is decent, this is nice, and so let's see what that is. Let's say what Walmart pays like 69 cents a mile. So if you were getting 2,800 miles a week with Walmart, which Walmart advertises that you make about 87,000. So that puts us what? That puts us down here around the 2,400 mile a week. You're making $19.48 an hour at one of the best trucking jobs as a company driver. That let's go back over here and pretend you're getting $22.72 an hour, equivalent to the real world. That you're working a lot of hours, and people don't take that into consideration whenever, well, I think a lot of people don't take that into consideration, the number of hours that they're working whenever they hear these salaries that truck drivers make. They say, oh, truck drivers, the average salary is $56,000 a year. I don't think that people really take into consideration that they're working 70 plus hours a week to make that. And whenever you break down how much you're actually making per hour and all the sacrifices you're making, it doesn't seem worth it. So that's the reason my entire goal is to become an owner op, because as an owner op, you can get up like your net pay, like in one of my other videos, it was the net pay after all costs was getting into upwards of 76 cents per mile. And I think that was at $1.70 a mile rate, running 2,800 miles a week. So, I mean, that's when you're starting to get into the area of $110,000 a year. You're talking $25 an hour. And if you get a decent, I don't know, a dedicated run as an owner operator, or you're able to pull decent rates where you're getting a couple of dollars a mile. So this rate, I think, was at $1.70 a mile. Let's say that you're getting $2 a mile. You add, you're going to have additional fuel costs. So it's probably not going to be a full 30 cents above this. Let's say it's 20 cents. So let's do 0.96 as an owner op. You're getting up into the area where you're making like $31.60 an hour. And it can just keep going from there. Like the earning potential with owner ops, it gets pretty damn high. This is only $140,000 a year, and owner ops, I've heard, really owner ops that are doing really well are grossing like $500,000 a year. I can only imagine that the bring home on something like that is what would it be, approximately 60%. So we'll say $250,000 a year. We'll do 50% just to play it safe. So what would we have to make $250,000 a year? That doesn't even get us there. There we go. That's close enough. $1.70 a mile. So if our fixed costs were upwards of $1 a mile, so this would probably be the equivalent of running like $2, at minimum $2.50 a mile. somewhere between $2.50 and $3 a mile average. And you're talking about getting up to $56 an hour. And this is the area that I want to be in. And I think having a $2 a mile average or higher is attainable as owner-op, especially if you get out there and bust your butt. And that's what I plan to do. This is the realm that I want to get into. This is the whole company driver and being leased on with USA Truck is all just a means to an end for me. And this is the place where I want to get to. Let's look at, I have a whole bunch of stuff on here. This is the one I was doing in one of my earlier videos. I didn't know how to show this on the, well, I did know how to show this on the screen, but let me resize this. All this stuff down here at the bottom is something different. Let's see, rate. Yeah, okay. All of this is one thing, and everything else down at the bottom was something completely different. That was how I was doing the breakdowns in the load board from the video I was watching. So 2,800 miles a week, rate per mile, $1.40. This is basically $1.70. Just add these two together, and that's your rate per mile. $1.40, and then 30-cent fuel surcharge, so $1.70 a mile. Fuel mileage, I'm pretending I'm getting 7 miles per gallon. Fuel cost $3 a gallon. Maintenance 15 cents a mile. My fixed costs are $1,000. So in this fairy tale world where we're playing pretend, this is what it all breaks down to. So if you weren't getting the 65%, so what would this be? If you weren't getting the 65%, the massive cut that USA Truck is taking, these are basically spot market rates. So let's say that you were getting $2 a mile. So let's just raise this to 1.7, and $2 a mile gets you into $155,000 a year. You're getting $1.06 a mile. And I'm hoping that as an owner-op, I'm going to be able to get into the area where, let's do 2.2, so we have a $2.50. A $2.50 rate as an average on the week. If I could get that as a year-round average as an owner-operator, I would be really happy. And I don't know how realistic that is, but I'm hoping. But I'm setting my expectations down at the $1.70. So if I never make it out of USA Truck, well, it's 1 point, and this is all I'm making, I'm not going to be like thrilled over that, but I will be satisfied. I'll be happy. I think something that is a lot more realistic once I get my own authority is $2 a mile on the spot market. And I think that is achievable. The $2.50 average year-round may not be as achievable as I think it is. The $2 average, once I have my own authority, and I'm either leased onto someone who pays well, or I'm just running the spot market and getting decent rates off of there, or I get contracted on, I don't know, whatever it takes. This is, like, I think it's realistic. The 250 average might be unrealistic, and so I think this is a solid goal. But anyway, I'm getting off topic on this video. So nothing against company drivers. I'm planning to be one, and I just, for me personally, the $80,000 a year, if I'm going to be working 70 hours a week and be away from amenities and home and have to live out of truck stops and all that stuff, and there's, you're spending more in normal expenses living out of truck stops. They charge more for everything. It's $80,000 a year is the point where I'm starting to consider it as worth it. It's barely tolerable. Like, I'm not ticked off. Um, so hope that puts it into context on what I meant by saying that company pay is still crap. What I meant by that is you have to have you have to be in the upper percentile of drivers to be making over $80,000 a year as a company driver. I'm not saying that you can't make more than that. You definitely can. Like I said in previous videos, that UPS driver that was running the same route as me was making that 20 years ago almost. So I'm sure that they make even more now. So yeah, there is money to be made as company drivers, but you have to be in the upper percentile to do that. It's nowhere remotely close to the average. I think they say the average is $56,000 a year, and first and second year drivers, a lot of them are making $30,000-$40,000 a year. It's one of the biggest complaints when I'm looking through Indeed, and I'll switch this back over to the camera. When I'm looking through Indeed reviews and Facebook and just people talking about their experience with a company like USA Truck, one of their biggest complaints is pay as company drivers, and they're talking about getting $200 and $300 a week paychecks like I did with Swift. That's one of my big fears going with USA Truck, is I'm just not going to get the miles. The rate of pay does not mean as much as the miles. You can make 40 cents a mile or 50 cents a mile, and it doesn't make a huge difference if you're getting 1,500 miles a week. It's you really need to be getting the miles, and I hope the miles are there when I go to USA Truck. We'll see. I'll gut it out for 6 months. I have savings that if the pay isn't at least what I'm making right now, then I can dip into savings to cover the difference. But hopefully, we'll see. And that's it for this video. Thanks.